No one could get close to this aggressive shepherd until a little girl changed everything. Before the shelter, there was the badge. Rocky was trained to obey, to protect, to take down threats with a single command. He wasn't just any German shepherd. He was a K9, a partner, a tool sharpened by discipline and demand. His world was structured, controlled, and wrapped in the blue and silver routine of sirens, night shifts, and growled commands. He was loyal to one man, Officer Hartley, tall, calm, and firm, but with a hand that never hurt, a voice that always reassured. For 2 years, Rocky served with pride. He found missing children, sniffed out danger, took down suspects in alleyways. He never hesitated, not once, until that night. It was a routine call, a domestic disturbance on the east side of town. Hartley and Rocky arrived late, lights flashing across broken windows. Inside, chaos. A man with a weapon, a woman screaming, something shattered. Then a child cried out. Hartley moved fast, too fast. He kicked open the door, shouted commands. Rocky followed, trained, ready. But what happened next wasn't in any manual. The suspect lunged, not at Hartley, but at the child. Hartley stepped in between. Rocky did what he was trained to do. He launched forward, teeth bared. But the suspect threw the child into Rocky's path, a deliberate, twisted shield. And Rocky couldn't stop in time. The scream that followed was the sound that broke everything. The child was okay, barely scratched, but the damage was done. Hartley took the blame, said the command had been unclear, said Rocky had only followed instinct, but the department didn't want headlines or lawsuits. So they retired Rocky immediately. No ceremony, no thanks, just paperwork. Hartley fought it, tried to keep him, but the city said no. Too unpredictable. And just like that, Rocky went from patrol cruiser to shelter cage. At Ridgeview Animal Shelter, Rocky became that dog. He didn't bark for attention, didn't wag his tail. He growled when approached, snapped at hands near the gate. He never attacked, but never relaxed either. Volunteers tried to win him over with treats. Trainers tried commands. Nothing worked. He refused every touch. Only one staff member, an older man named Jim, could get close enough to feed him without gloves. He doesn't hate people, Jim would say. He just doesn't trust them anymore. Months passed. Rocky watched dog after dog leave with families, puppies with ribbons, seniors with soft eyes. Even the nervous ones got second chances. Not him. He was too big, too tense, too haunted. Then came a quiet Sunday afternoon. Jim was sweeping near the kennels. It had been a long day of visitors. Rocky lay in the back of his cage, ears half lowered, eyes scanning out of habit. A new couple entered, young, tired smiles, holding hands. But what caught Rocky's eye wasn't them. It was the little girl trailing behind them, maybe 3 years old, maybe younger, white dress with soft pink shoes, hair a little messy, thumb in her mouth, a stuffed bunny tucked under one arm. She didn't speak. She didn't run. She just walked, quietly, straight toward his cage. Jim noticed too late. Hey, sweetheart, let's stay with Mom and Dad. But she was already there, right at the bars. Rocky stood. His ears shot up. His body stiffened. Jim froze. Everyone froze. But the girl didn't. She reached through the bars and touched his face. No hesitation, no fear. Her tiny fingers brushed his muzzle right beneath his eye. Rocky didn't growl, didn't flinch. He sat, slowly, cautiously, and then he licked her hand. Jim dropped his broom. The mother gasped. The father stepped forward in alarm, but stopped as Rocky tilted his head and rested it gently against the girl's hand. Not tense, not guarded, just still. It was the first time in 11 months anyone had touched him without flinching, and the first time he had let anyone in. No one moved. For a full 5 seconds after Rocky pressed his head into the little girl's hand, it was like the whole shelter held its breath. Jim, still gripping his broom, blinked as if trying to confirm what he was seeing. The girl's parents, frozen. The mother's hand hovered near her mouth, the father's knees slightly bent, ready to leap forward if needed. But the little girl, she just smiled. Gently, she patted Rocky's cheek with her tiny fingers. Her pink dress fluttered as she shifted on her feet. No fear, just kindness. And Rocky, the dog who growled at anyone within 6 feet, who hadn't wagged his tail in almost a year. He whimpered softly, not in pain, in relief. Jim was the first to speak, quietly. She's the first one. He's never done that, not once. The girl's mother knelt beside her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Sweetheart," she whispered, voice trembling, "do you want to come back to Mommy now?" But the girl shook her head, still watching Rocky. "He's sad," she said softly. Her words were so small, so simple, but they shattered something inside the room. The parents looked at Jim, at Rocky, then at each other. And without another word, the mother stood and asked, "Can we sit with him?" Jim hesitated. "Inside the enclosure?" "Yes. I don't know if—" But Rocky had already stepped forward, resting his paws gently against the bars. Jim stared. "He's asking." They opened the cage, slowly, one bar at a time. Jim entered first, followed by the family, careful, quiet, with the little girl leading the way. She held her bunny tight, but didn't hesitate. She walked right up to Rocky and hugged his leg. He didn't flinch. He leaned into her. And then, for the first time since arriving at the shelter, Rocky laid down. His body relaxed. His tail curled toward his side, and he closed his eyes. Over the next 20 minutes, the girl and the dog just sat together. She whispered to him, played with his fur. At one point, she placed her stuffed bunny near his head, and Rocky rested his snout on it. Jim watched in silence. He didn't understand it, couldn't explain it, but he knew what he was seeing. Healing. They visited every day that week. At first, just for a few minutes, then longer. Each time, Rocky greeted the little girl, tail up, ears perked, mouth open, in what almost looked like a grin. He let her brush him. He followed her around the pen. He nuzzled her hand when she cried after scraping her knee. The staff began calling them the quiet pair. But the girl had a name, Ellie, and on the 8th day, her father filled out the adoption paperwork. "I don't know how or why," he said, "but she chose him, and I think he chose her." It wasn't easy. Rocky still growled when new people came too close. He didn't like loud noises. He flinched at flashing lights and metal doors. But at home, with Ellie, he was a different dog. He followed her from room to room, slept at the foot of her bed, stood between her and the vacuum, waited outside the bathroom while she brushed her teeth. She called him "My Big." He wagged his tail every time. 3 months later, the family returned to Ridgeview for a visit. Jim barely recognized Rocky. His fur was brighter, his eyes calmer. He wagged when he saw familiar faces, but only when Ellie held the leash. "I think she gave him back his name," Jim said as they left. Not a code, not a case file, not aggressive shepherd, just Rocky, a dog who once trusted no one, until a tiny girl in a pink dress reached out her hand and simply believed he was good. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more emotional, dramatic, and unexpected tales. And let us know in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We love hearing from all of you. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.